Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to Date Affirm the Real. We are here live again. This is a different type of session than what we typically do. We typically just get together and we talk about a few different topics, and everybody gets to kind of just talk about those particular topics. Today, our focus is going to be how to identify when you, a potential partner, or your partner is dealing with mental health issues. It is prevalent in our community. We don't talk about it enough. I see it all the time. I've dealt with it pretty much all my life. And so I really want us to that be the focal point of our conversation today. Mental health is not discussed enough. It's not understood. It's not something that is very taboo, and in our community we've been told to be quiet about a lot of things. We haven't felt safe and been in safe places to discuss certain things. And so the purpose is to just kind of start to talk about those things, especially when it comes to relationships, because your partner could potentially be dealing with some mental health issues, and we could be prescribing something else for them and even ourselves. So that is going to be the discussion today. And so our special guest today is Shamika Arnold from California. She came in as the licensed therapist to help us basically to facilitate through the conversations that we're going to be having as it relates to mental health. So, babe,
Let's get started. Let's talk about it and let's get going.
all righty.
All right. So, I'm gonna slide over here. Hello, Shamika. Speak a little louder for us. Don't be shy. We love you. We love. We don't bite. You know, today, this is nice to have you. It's a great day, and this is going to be a wonderful outlet. This is going to be first of many things. So, on behalf, Date Affirm the Real, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And what we're going to do today is we're going to have our open dialogue, open forum, talk about some mental health issues pertaining to relationships, being part of a relationship, going into a relationship, coming out of a relationship. All this is open. If you're not in a relationship and you're seeking somebody, what do we do to work on ourselves? Those are some things that weigh on our mentals, and we need to get it out in the open, discuss them, and address them. But a lot of times we are somewhat introverted on a lot of things in life, and
Or even afraid to address things.
exactly, and I'm very, very guilty of that, and things like that continue to bleed over. So when you do enter a relationship, if we don't actually, and I believe we don't actually address these, we are doomed the relationship before we actually get to it. And one of the things that we always want to do is lasting, loving, and fulfillment in our relationship with our husbands, our wives, whoever it may be. So, thank you. All right. So let's get things started. One of the things I noticed, and I won't say one of the things that I've been through personally is after divorce, it takes a toll on your mental stability. And for me, it was something I wanted, I worked hard during, and it didn't make it. I want to blame this and I want to blame that. And usually, the first thing I did, I wanted to blame her. And I know nothing that fails in the marriage is one-sided. So what could I really do after leaving a marriage, and dating and everything? What do I need to do to address it? What tools can I do to cope with identifying my deficiencies so I can make it better for the next person?
I think the first thing that, because think the first thing that has to happen is to identify first, even when was the last time you felt joy? Because so many people just, and I think we've talked about this before, are on autopilot, and they just go and they just go and they just go and they do and they do and they do for other people, for other, and help everybody else, and then they're sitting there depleted.
Right.
They're depleted from their happiness and their joy. And so, what things do you do to create joy and happiness in your life? Because how are you going to be in a relationship and want joy and happiness in a relationship when you can't even create that for yourself?
And sometimes I don't know what a joy is. I can being happy, or like I can do something that makes me somewhat happy. I don't know if it's joy. Like I can sit back, watch TV, kick my shoes off. Is that joy just being happy? I don't know.
That might be a space of peace where and so you have to identify too. Like, okay, what things make me feel good? Like things that. Okay, so like it's like. So for me, joy is orgasmic. So when you take, like, okay, for instance, that cookie that she made, like Cassandra made, when I took a bite of that cookie, and my whole body was like, yes! Is this the nut in it? Oh my God! What was it? Walnut? What was it? I was like, oh my gosh, because I was looking at the cookie. Okay, see, this is my joy. Do you see how I just got excited? I looked at the cookie because I was like, well, I hope they got nuts in it. And when I bit into it, I felt so happy. So yes, that's so different things, even like clothes I put on, like I'll be like, oh my gosh, this feels so good on my skin. Like I'm really like learning to be more aware of different things that I do that makes me feel good, that just makes me feel lighter. Like, and I like walking barefoot in the grass. Like I love walking barefoot in the grass, and having the sun, just touch my body. Like there's different things that create joy for me, and so you have to identify that for yourself. Like shoot, sometimes even just like my hair wash day. Like I love to just, so it's just different things, and it sounds odd, but these are things that make me feel good, because then when my hair's done and my hair's washed and I do my little face mask or I do my little whatever, I feel like refreshed. I feel like ready to just be me.
I can see that part. I'd say for a lot of male equivalent to me, a fresh cut, with a fresh edge up and line up and looking, look out. Yeah, right. I ain't ready.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right, see how it's not like right there, that right there, that, everything you just felt, even talking about it, that right there is joy.
Okay.
Because I can see it. I see it when you lit up, when you talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, remember, like, when was the last time you felt that? When was the last time you were like, oh gosh, I love this. This was so good.
Yeah. I want to add to that, if I can.
Okay.
So for me, what I totally, I didn't see it that way when I was dealing with 2 divorces. The first divorce, I really didn't go through that process, but the second one, I really dug deep to find my joy, to connect with the things that made me happy. So when you talk about your feet in the grass, I'm a sun person. I love to just be in the sun. So when I started to identify the things that brought me joy, I drew closer to those things. And so the things that I know make me feel good, I want to do that. I want to be close to those things. The things that didn't bring me that, I separated from those things. And that, because for me, it brought me more joy. So why would I put myself in situations or go to places or deal with things or people that didn't do that for me? So my joy was, I really focused on that. And so I think that's what we should all be doing. Focus on the thing that brings you joy, no matter what's happening, even when it's hard, right? Even when you're going through that difficult moment, it's like, if I focus on the joy, if I focus on the good things, and I got plenty of them, then I'm not so much focused on what's not happening. And because that's out of my control. Mm-hmm. And that is what we try to do so much, is control everything. We try to control people. We try to control even ourselves. And it's like, sometimes you don't really have to control. It's just like, let things be sometimes and just go with the flow like water. Just let it flow like water. But we try to, I want to do this. I want to do that. I got to do it like this. They got to do it like this. And it's when you try to put all that control on all these things, especially external, you're going to stress yourself out. I can't control what Marcus does. He can't control what I do. But I can control what I do, my reactions, my language, my energy. I can control those things. And so I'm glad you brought that up. Like, where's your joy?
So look, so Miss Cassandra made these little notes. And so while we're sitting here and we're talking about what creates joy, write down 5 things that bring you that feeling of joy. And it could be food. Like even yesterday when we went to I talk about food. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. But that place we went to, 5. And
oh yeah.
And so that those first initial bites, it was like, yes, and I got full, and I was done, like, so that whole, like, yes, had went away, so I knew I should have stopped, but I didn't. I kept on eating, but still, my point is, like, when it's like, okay, because with food, it's like, okay, when that whole orgasmic feeling is over, I know that my body's like, okay, we're good. I just want to keep on eating because I want to clean my plate, and that's another mental health thing that when we with kids and your parents say, eat everything off your plate. The people in Africa starving, right? And that's how we get the issues. But anyway,
Marcus, if I could say,
Hold on a second.
Here
we go.
While you all were talking, I was thinking about what brings me joy, and I think my wife will back me up on this, but really, if I get up in the morning, I got joy.
Yeah.
That's how I try to operate all day long. I am just that person that doesn't allow a lot to pull me down. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because it does, but I'm over it quickly. Because my joy means so much to me. That brought me joy. But yeah, the top thing for me is when I get up in the morning, there's joy. Because I got up, and it didn't have to be that way. Right.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm glad you said that, no, seriously, because I found myself wanting and wishing that I operated like that instead of just being me and focusing on the things that bring me joy. Like I looked at him like, gosh, I wish I could be like that, and because I wasn't, I felt like, well, I don't have joy because I'm not like that. And when you were talking about just the little things, it made me think like, getting a new lipstick really brings me joy. Like colorful clothes brings me joy. And it made me really think about, I really do have joy. If I really focus on those things that make me feel warm and fuzzy, I do. And just like Kia said, I spend so much time trying to emulate all these people that I'm not, that I aspire to be or want to be like, but I'm missing out on the joy of being who I am.
Yes. And
that's good.
That is awesome, because that's what I teach my clients. I'm like, you are the gift.
Yes.
You are a gift. And we forget that we're a gift because we're so busy looking at what we could be and who we should be and where we should be at. We're too busy looking at that, or even just past things that our families have, things that they didn't realize that they were harming, because of the limited stuff that they had. But, the negative things that's been told to us that stayed stuck in our head. And we don't realize and we don't remember that we are a gift. We are a gift. We are a gift, and we are amazing. And who we are is what is we forget that who we are is amazing in itself.
Yeah.
And so continuing to create that joy and this joy of living, this joy of just enjoying this world that we do have, that sometimes, yes, it's messed up, but we can still have and create joy in this space that we are in. Because the thing is that it's contagious.
Yes.
So when you walk in like smile, I might walk and smile and say hi to somebody, and they might not say hi back to me, because in California don't say hi all the time. I don't care. But I've learned to I don't even care, because I'm like, it's not my issue, that's their issue.
Yes.
That's their issue, it's not mine, and I feel bad for them because they not even, that's whatever. But still, it's about me finding the jewel that I am.
Yep.
And that's the journey that I give my clients. I'm like, you are the treasure. So find you. Find who you are. You know?
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that.
You know, Shai, I'm so glad that you said that to my wife, because I tell her all the time, you have so much to offer.
Yeah.
And she does. She has a lot to offer. One of the things, and they may hit me in the back of the head when I say it, but I'm so grateful for Cassandra and Kia being a part of my life. And Kia told me one time, she said, I asked Corey, why won't you let us love you? And that was so key for her. And I'm so grateful that they are a part of her life today, because God knows I tried. But you asked about sometimes last night, you asked, what about that stress we feel? Sometimes I feel stressed because I'm trying so hard to get her, and I just have to, you know, and let it be her that does it. So I'm just so grateful that you guys are a part of her life, and you are helping her to be who she's called
To be, yes.
Yeah.
So when he was referring to, what was he referring to?
Because you feel love.
Last night, right. And last night we were talking about like the weight of men carrying the weight of their shoulders and what we need to fix things and change, and I need to do. And so one of the brothers said, sometimes you don't need to do, sometimes you just sit and listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just sit and listen. What you tell her is you are enough. And then you go on.
Yeah.
Because you can't make her see it.
Right.
You can't make nobody see it.
Right.
If they have to learn to see it themselves. You know, and what ends up happening, here's the thing, what ends up happening is, this is the thing. So I'm a true believer in when like think like it's like you guys were talking about scripture, it's like his thoughts are not our thoughts and his ways are not our ways. We'll be like, I want something different. And we'll just think it. We don't have to speak it out loud. We don't have to say nothing, right? We'll know we want something different. We don't know what it is. I just don't want to do this no more. Right? And so what happens is God is like, got you. I got you. So he'll start sending people. He'll start sending things, and you just have to be open to receiving. You have to be open to receiving it. So yeah, so it's
And you can't let it pass you by.
Yes.
He's sending the ship
Right, we was talking
to
about,
rescue, and you're letting it pass you by.
That's it. Like there was a story with the man on the building. He was a flood, and he was on top of his house, and he was like, "I'm waiting for God to save me." And then here comes a ship, and the ship, he's like, "Nope, I'm waiting for God." And here comes the plane. "Nope, I'm waiting for God." And all this stuff came. He's like, "I'm waiting for God." But here's the thing. God sent all those, but you were just not open to receiving that. And so we're so busy, we push things away because we're like, no, that's not a God. That's not a God. But what if it is?
Right.
You know, and it's just like it was where the camel talked, the camel or the horse. Somebody talked to David.
The ass.
Donkey.
Talked to David,
I want to say, last night, remember when we kind of started talking about you knowing his voice? A lot of times people don't know his voice. He may say something to you, but if you don't know him, you don't know his voice. After this weekend, you might know my voice because you've gotten a little more familiar with me. And that's how it works. You got to get familiar with him to know his voice, to know that God sent that ship. God sent that plane. But you didn't recognize it because you was looking for what you think is
what you
God.
think is supposed to be right.
Yeah.
And the thing is that too, love is not always loud.
Exactly.
Love is sometimes a smile.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't receive that smile. Sometimes we don't receive that good morning.
And he sent it. Maybe to bring you
it
your
might
joy.
be just that, and it's just that little bit. It's just a little bit. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And I think also it's about relationship versus religion. Right? It's more so about relationship. If you have the relationship, there's the connection.
Exactly.
Right?
He said it's about relationship and not religion. The key is relationship.
She could project her voice. It'll make it through that mic.
Oh yeah, my voice. I have that voice.
Keep giving me that mic.
Well, I wanted to say that, piggyback on what Rodney said, we've been there for
Corey, and she needs to know how much joy she's brought to me. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a circle.
Wow.
I think we're on a text, and during the week we'll text each other.
Yeah.
And you don't know what I'm going through.
Wow.
I don't know what she's going through.
That's
But when
good.
that text comes through,
Yeah.
I'll answer. And I just sit at my desk and I just smile.
Yeah.
Because I know I have sisters that care about me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Let's give her a sip tissue too.
Yeah, I have to
So,
got brothers.
you know, now another topic: longevity. We all, when we get in a relationship, want longevity, but we don't know how to necessarily get it, and sometimes that becomes stressful for us. You know, is there any, you can like give us any tools, any method to kind of help deal with the conflicts we have with our mates?
First of all, it's about longevity. It's about being present right here, right now.
Okay.
The focus shouldn't be about like, oh, I want this to last a long time. Because you don't
Because
have
you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. Things happen all the time.
Yeah.
Things happen all the time. So what?
Moments.
So the focus of this needs to last. This needs to last. What if that's you think about right? Let's right now, right here. What about in this moment?
Right.
What can we do in this moment to spend time and enjoy this moment?
That's good.
And enjoy this moment. Stop and enjoy this moment right here. Being present, being here right now. We talked about being present and talked about being on autopilot. We're on autopilot so often. You know, I was like, and I gave the analogy like you ever drive home from work and you're like, dang, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Because you're on autopilot, thinking about something else, thinking about all kinds of stuff. But what if in that moment you're driving, you're like, ooh, the trees, look at the tree. Oh, I know there's flowers on that tree. Oh, look at, that's a red car. Oh, this car's stopping in front of me. It's a red light. Okay, let me stop. Right? So just being present with that person, enjoying those moments. You know, I even just if you can just even once a week. I'm not gonna say every day, but once a week, sit down and have this time just to. I know it sounds weird, but just to sit there and just like 5 minutes to either hold each other, smell, touch. It doesn't have to be sexual. I mean, it can be whatever. Let them just go with the flow, but just enjoying and embracing those moments, like looking at each other, looking at the different things that you like. Oh, you have a mole right here. You know, but just those, and it could just be 5 minutes.
I think just being present in the time, you look up and you're 22 years later. And we think about, we tell our kids, you don't realize what we've gone through to get where we're at, and we're still, you know, we still have mountains to climb. There's still going to be obstacles in our way. But I think being present in the moment, I tell Keldrick all the time, he asks, what do you need? I just need to be time with you. Right now, this is what I need. And then he'll just sit down and he'll be with me. The kids look at us like, why y'all just sitting there? What y'all doing? We're spending time together.
Yeah.
Because I think now with kids these days, you know, the fast pace, the internet, they are so ready for instantaneous gratification. And we're used to having to work for that gratification. So it's hard to tell a teenager or a young child now, wait for it, it's gonna come. What do you mean you've been on your job 20 years? I've been on, 5 jobs in 3 months. They don't understand that, and I think that's one of the things that when you're in a longevity marriage is just being present and then looking back that you were present for 22 years and you don't even realize that.
I love it.
That's awesome.
And what I want to say to my fellows is just piggybacking on what my wife said, that's spending time, even if it's something that you don't want to do, because I can tell you, I don't want to watch Married to Medicine. I don't want to watch Housewives of Atlanta. But if that's what she's watching and she needs me to spend time, I sit there and I don't say a word and I'll watch it with her because that's what's important to her at that time.
And she has to do the same.
Exactly.
That's what y'all say, but I feel like y'all really be wanting to watch that stuff.
I'm download when they can start saying the names. Right.
So, I got you, bro.
Okay.
So, no, we don't want to watch that. Don't think it don't slide. I'll take that back. Maybe 1 or 2. But I'm going to draw the line and say we don't want to watch How to Kill, How to Get Away from Murder, How to Hide the Body. Because we feel some type of way. So if you can name every crime show on TV, I get a little worried. And babe, the one thing she did say about looking at the small things in their future, just sitting, I have to master it in a different type of way because I personally do it when she sleep, but she wake up like, why are you staring at me? So go from romantic. So never from romantic, like, this is creepy. Fella, it was something you need to tell me. No, baby.
You all in her face like, no, sweetie.
Our crime show is on.
I think that was a really good question, and someone that's been married 4 times. My mother told me, she said, "Boy, you don't have no stickability," and you guys just defined what it is. It's being able to be there in the moment, and if you be there in the moment, and God gives you another chance tomorrow, you do the same thing over again. Before you know it, you've been married 22 years. So stickability, you got to learn how to just stick in there, hang in there. That day, because tomorrow is not promised. But that day, I'm going to do all I can.
Stickability.
Yeah.
I said, Mom, is that even a word?
Stickability. That can be put in stick in your ass. Stickability. I got you.
You know what they say. You know what I mean.
You know what Mama said. You know what I mean.
I didn't then, but I got it now.
I got it now.
I got a question I want to ask. So my question is revolving around how to identify when your partner is dealing with some type of mental health thing. Because, we're present with ourselves, right? But how do we identify when the person that we're with is having a mental health issue? And what is the boundary? Because there should always be a boundary no matter what. What's the boundary in terms of how we deal with that? And what level of participation should we have in that in terms of resources, in terms of what we're saying? You understand what my question is? Okay.
So there's a couple of things. Number one, everybody's dealing with something. Everybody has something they're dealing with. First of all, scientists have proven that there is 8 generations that trauma goes through 8 generations. So if you think about the traumas in our history, 8 generations, they continue the response, the response of a certain trauma. Like for instance, they did a study about the mice, and the 2 mice, male mice, they would shock them in this little area in the box, right? And so they would, then that mouse mated and had children. And so the children didn't go into that corner of the box because of the father's trauma. Right? Isn't that amazing? 8 generations though. So that means 8 generations, that means 8 more didn't go into that corner. So think about the traumas that we have that we continue to have over and over again, right? And so everybody's dealing with some mental health stuff. It's just the level of mental health that you're looking out for. So when you're talking about depression, and the depression is not just I'm sad, but the depression is I can't do this no more. You're looking at them isolating. You're looking at them shutting down, not doing things that they used to love to do, or anxiety, panic attacks. They might be having panic attacks, fast breathing, think they're having a heart attack. Like these are things that that you want to be aware of. And if somebody's thinking about committing suicide, they start giving things away. Here after the isolation, and then they actually start feeling good because they made a decision. So they've had a moment of that sadness, isolating, and then they're like, no, I feel good today. Oh, I'm about to give this away. And they're like, and your friends are like, so and so gave me this. Then that's a problem. That's a problem. So I think if it's somebody you're in a marriage with, I think that needs to be a conversation needs to be had. That conversation needs to be had, and we need to sit down and we need to have what we're going to do and how we're going to move forward. And do you want the help? Because first you got to ask them, do they want the help? Because some people, because even as a therapist, I can't make somebody not commit suicide. I can't talk them out of it. You know, I mean, I can, if they don't want it, they'll tell me, like, I don't wanna do this, and I'm feeling this way. Okay, good, thank you for telling me, let's figure out how we're gonna do next. Cause it's about resolving it, let's work it out, let's figure out what are our resources? What resources can we use? Getting therapy, couples therapy, whatever the issue is. But about if you're dating, I think that, I don't know, like dating, I think there's because what we tend to do is we want to save people. And so I think when you start doing more and saving and you're depleting you, I think that's when it becomes an issue. And you're forgetting about you and you're like, I gotta save them, because then now it's manipulation and now it's something else, you know, it's not, you know. I've had it where, you know, when people are like, I'm gonna kill myself if you don't get back with me. That's not safe and that's not healthy and you need to run away from that. You know, so shoot, even in a marriage, if that happens too, and they're like, I'm gonna kill myself if you don't do, that's not healthy.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
It did. You know, what it did bring up is, in my mind, how do we recognize that, hey, or not recognize, but what's the holdup in us making that first step to seek out help? What is the biggest thing that stops people from saying, hey, I need to talk to somebody? What is that barrier? What's to keep us from reaching out? Because a lot of times we try, you know, I'm guilty of it too. I can figure it out myself. Just give me a little bit. But I don't have the answer, or nobody ever always had the answer. So what's the biggest barrier that stops people from saying, hey, I need it. I need a hand. What's the
biggest barrier? You just said you experienced it. What's your biggest barrier?
Yeah, I can.
You.
I'm about to say, you guys can answer that.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Well, for a person that has dealt with depression and mental health issues, I've even been committed to a mental hospital, tried to commit suicide twice. I can tell you that for me, it was growing up in the church and people telling me that, you know, just pray about it, you know, and I felt weak if I couldn't just pray about it like everybody else. So I'm not going to seek out help because, to me, I don't want people to see me as weak. So I spent a good part of my life never getting help, carrying all these things with me until finally I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, this is either one or two things. I'm either going to have a breakthrough or a breakdown. That's it. I got to that point. And I had to make a choice. Which one are you going to do? And when I decided to break through, I sought out professional help. So
thank you for that. Thank you for bringing that up. Because the church is so many people in there that's pretending like everything's good and not being honest and not being truthful with their struggles and what they're going through.
Yeah.
And so you're feeling judged, you know?
Yeah.
And you're sitting there feeling judged, like I'm the bad person. Yeah.
I just wanted, when you said that, I wanted to add to that. It's like you guys said that seeking professional help is God.
Yeah.
You know? I was missing God, thinking that, you know, I should just pray about it. But you know, he put counselors and professionals out there.
Yes.
That is God.
That boat in the plane.
Yep,
Right.
that boat in that plane that I kept missing, and he was trying to send it to me, but I kept missing it because I was expecting it to come in some different form.
Yeah. That's
How
good.
do you handle though, when you said that, like in a marriage, how do you identify that your spouse, if your spouse is needing mental health, how do you approach that? Not that saying that my husband needs mental everything, but I'm just saying.
Just in case.
I just wonder because I know me and Corey have talked before, and when my mom was alive, my husband would always tell me, your mom's manipulating you. Your and I was like, babe, don't worry about it. It's my mom, you know. Like, don't worry about it. I gotta please my mom. I'm the only girl. I gotta please my mom. And it took my doctor to finally, for me to listen. My husband told me all the time, but for me to listen for someone on the outside in going, you need to seek professional help. And for a long time, I would be like, no, I'm not. And he went to the same doctor, and they had a conversation. I went back, and she's like, okay, now you really need to go from the conversation. So how do you handle that if your spouse needs to seek mental health?
So I know. So one thing we is even asking, like, do you think, like, because sometimes when it's you need to or you should, sometimes we like, don't tell me what to do, like, I'm grown, you know, and so we don't hear them. And so what if it's a question? What if it's, you know, I noticed you've been a little stressed lately. You know, do you think that you put too much on your plate? Do you think your mom is adding too much on your plate? Do you think you could be able to, like, just let her know to, why do you feel like you need to please her? What is that about? Why do you feel like you need to please her? Oh, that's interesting. And so what you're doing is you're asking a question, but you're getting them to kind of play it in their head. Because once you put that little nugget in, then you be like, you know. But if somebody tells you, because I'm guilty of that, don't tell me nothing. I'm grown. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'd be like, it's still stuck, right? So I think it's, you know, this is what I've noticed. I noticed that this is going on. Like, you agree, or, you know, just like doing a form of a question.
But do you think, as Black America, that we have a stigmatism that if we go seek mental health, that, you know, oh my God, you need to be locked up, you know, you're killing. That stigmatism also, I think, affects us from going to get the help that some of us need.
Yeah, I agree. But I think also, I think what's amazing is that that's not as bad anymore.
Right.
I believe that even it's weird now. It's kind of good and bad, but you know, I got clients like they're like, it's the thing, you know, to be I have a therapist, you know.
Well,
that's how we're not bad.
Yeah.
The pandemic kind of really spearheaded that, you know. Now, you know, the focus has been so much on mental health, and like, I work in healthcare, and our behavioral health, mental health has just skyrocketed because so many people are seeking help now. They're like two years behind, you know, backlogs and stuff, because there's so many people. So that has really helped put them in the forefront. I think so. Even though we look at, you know, the pandemic as something bad, a lot of good stuff kind of came out.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
We just talked about that.
Yes, because it made people sit down. Because we have so many vices. We have work. We gotta go get, go. And COVID made you sit down.
Yes.
It made you sit down. So now you're in your thoughts and you're remembering things, and you're like, whoa, you know, because it made you sit down. And a lot of people couldn't handle it. Yeah. And a lot of people couldn't handle it and you know, took their lives as a result. But a lot of people were like, I need help. Even with Kaiser in California, Kaiser is so backed up. They see their clients once a month. So that's where my company and other companies like my company jumps in and providing services where Kaiser was overwhelmed with people. You know, so I think that did help, and I think that was amazing that it did. You know, people that wanted to fight, you know, got the help. You know.
So it's amazing. When I noticed this, even recently, I looked at it again. Health insurance, a lot of health insurance cover mental health.
Oh.
You know, and I was looking at mine yesterday, or day before yesterday, and I'm curious, how much is it gonna cost me? It was two options, free and $20. I was like, hey, I can swing up either one of those. I prefer free, you know. But now it's more accessible. You know, you're not growing up. You know, as a kid, you know, you used to think $100 go sit on the couch. Hell, with gas $5 a gallon, $100 on the couch. I can sit on my couch for free and talk to myself. So let's go ahead. What we're gonna do right now is take a short intermission, take about a 10-minute break, and let's go use the restroom, enjoy, get you another drink. Yeah.
They probably noticed that, you know, we're creating a relaxed environment. So if you see drinks everywhere, cups, you want to be open, be yourself, and be fluid in everything we say. So let's take a 10-minute break and perhaps we'll go out, get some more drink.